elimination. Browns, Saints, Panthers, Titans, Fish. You lose this week, you're out of the tiers. The tier's too crowded. This tier's 12 levels. Committee, you can't be spending our time on these teams if they lose this week. Again, you control your own destiny here. And by the way, if you win, you very well might not be facing elimination next week. But any of those teams fall to 0-3, you're out of there. Next level. Really? Again? That's what their fans are saying. Like, really? Another 0-2 start? Another head-scratching, embarrassing loss or two? Another year where it just feels like we are the team that everyone in our division looks at and is like, well, that's a win. That's happening again to us when you had varying levels, obviously the most for the Bears, but some for the Jets and a few people for the Giants. You know what I mean? Some levels of optimism. Yeah. Greatly concerned. Jags, Vikings, Broncos. Jags lost a game they had no business losing at all. Brian Thomas Jr., who was one of just not best rookie receivers, one of the best receivers in the NFL last year, seems to be on a totally different page than Trevor. They can't figure out yet how to use Travis Hunter, who some people, smart people, kind of oddly, weirdly handsome people thought could be the Shohei Ohtani of the NFL, and that's no good. The Vikings, on the other hand, have gotten one good quarter of offense through 8 quarters. And now they go to Carson Wentz, and now some Viking fans are like, you know what? In the short term, I think it's a quarterback upgrade. That's not good. And then the curious case of the offseason champion Denver Broncos, who got a week 1 win, signed, sealed, and delivered to them courtesy of Brian Callahan. And then in week 2, lost an excruciating game thanks to the rarely called leverage penalty on a 60-yard field goal. I think all those fan bases are fairly greatly concerned, given they all had real expectations this year.
As someone who talks to the Denver Broncos fan base essentially every single day on this channel, because I make lots of Broncos videos, they are not greatly concerned. I can tell you this, Kansas City Chiefs fans are a lot more concerned than what's happening down in Denver, that's for sure.
Undefeated and untrustworthy. These teams are a combined 8-0. Talk to me in a couple weeks. The Bengals, listen, they lost their quarterback. The Niners, they lost their quarterback. The Colts have Daniel Jones at quarterback. And the Cardinals have gotten maybe the single greatest open to a season in NFL history, getting the 2025 Panthers and the 2025 Saints. That's a combined 8-0. I don't trust any of those teams, given the quarterback injuries or given who their personnel are. There's potential here. Patriots, Raiders, Falcons, Cowboys, Steelers. Got to be open to the possibility of any of these teams making the playoffs. Hell, I picked 2 of them to make the playoffs. Falcons have been up and down. Cowboys felt like they kind of could have won in week 1 and then stole one in week 2. The Steelers, we've seen highs and lows. Patriots, Raiders, similar story. But some of those teams are making the postseason. All of them feel they can. And honestly, deep down, they're all fine with the 1-1 start. Yeah. They're all fine with where they're at. This tier, I'll be honest, doesn't make sense. Honestly, no idea. I didn't know what to do with the Seahawks or the Texans. Texans haven't won a game, but they have a great defense, a quarterback who we've seen be great even though it's been over a year. And they've been in these games. You know what I mean? They barely lose to the Rams. They barely lose to the Bucs, but they haven't won. The offense seems a mess. Seattle could be 2-0. It took the Purdy drive late and then they almost came back. I don't know that I fully believe in Sam Darnold. The defense looked good. Honestly, no idea. Little trepidation.
I like that one.
Lions, Commanders. Yeah. Just a little uneasiness of, could we be in trouble this year? Now, the Lions, obviously, you score 50, it feels like it goes away. But week 1 was greatly concerning. And week 2, I still think there are more questions about the Lions' defense than we're asking, because it's all been about Ben Johnson and Goff and the offensive line change. And for Washington, it is very simply, man, how is Jaden going to miss time? How much time is he going to miss? And is our defense actually improved? How much did those injuries we suffered on Thursday night hurt? But those are good teams, a little trepidation. Unfamiliar territory.
This is basically the middle. This is basically Pubs is in my ear saying mid.
You could just put mid in there.
Wow.
Well, that's a compliment. Mid's one.
Right, they're not even mid yet.
Lost 3 in a row. Oof.
Yeah.
Well, they've lost 2 in a row. This whole 3 in a row thing, the reason none of the records
is that
technically.
That's so funny that he wants to push back on that, because all last year he kept saying all these games in a row dating back to Christmas and using the playoff games as a reference point as well. And I pushed back on that so hard. I was pulling up Wikipedia sources and whatnot. So now that he's upset that they're doing that, oh man, thank you, Philadelphia Eagles. Thank you for restoring balance in the NFL.
Texans have lost 3 in a row.
Yeah, similar.
Here's the deal, guys. They're 0-2. They have lost 3 in a row. Wilds pointed it out. I will reiterate it. And since walking off the field in the Arrowhead Invitational to head to their 5th Super Bowl in 6 years and 3rd straight, they've played 180 minutes of football. They've led for less than 3 of them. They haven't looked like the Chiefs in 3 games. They are awaiting their guys to come back, and the vultures are circling. Luckily, the football gods have graced us with a visit to MetLife and coach's New York Giants. However, it's then right back to the meat grinder of the NFL when you host the Ravens. With that said, beat the Giants. You're at home against a team you always beat no matter where the game is. You win that game, and you might find yourself back atop the tiers. First ever 2-2 team atop the tiers. Don't tell me I didn't warn you. Legit contenders. Bucks, Rams, Chargers. That's what they are. They're legit contenders. They're a combined 6-0. They've beaten good teams. You know, not necessarily all 6 wins, but they all have beaten at least one good team. We all, to varying levels, all like or love their quarterbacks. I mean, I'm a Stafford and Baker guy. The whole show is about to be First Things First presented by Justin Herbert's fan club. But those are legit contenders. We like the coaches. We like the quarterbacks. We like the skill position guys, legit contenders.
This is actually really funny because the Bucks beat the Falcons, which Nick obviously doesn't think that they're that great. He says there was potential there. And they beat the Texans, where he's like, honestly, no idea. And the Rams beat the Texans and the Titans, who are obviously facing elimination. So it's kind of funny because then when you look at the Chargers there, they beat the Chiefs, who obviously he thinks is actually a lot better. And he beats the Raiders, where I guess they're just technically kind of, there's potential here. So I don't know, his explanation didn't really make a lot of sense to me.
90% great, Brew and Wilds. Your 2 teams. 90% great. And it's the same 10% secondaries. The only real qualm I think anyone would have with either of these teams right now is overall pass defense, most noteworthy the secondary. And so, I mean, that's really, really good. It makes you a little nervous given the type of quarterbacks you're going to have to beat to actually get to a Super Bowl or back to a Super Bowl, but you're 90% great. Smooth sailing. I mean, no team's ever been looked like in better shape for the 1 seed through 2 weeks than the Buffalo Bills, given who they've already beaten and what their schedule is and what the rest of that division looks like. I mean, people saw this and were like, man, the Bills, they just got to play the Jets, and now tomorrow they play the Dolphins, and then after, it's just a lot of easy games and Josh playing great. And then I'm ready to call it already, even though we're only midway through the month. They will be the September champs, the Green Bay Packers. Doesn't mean they can't be more than that, but they are going to be the champs of the first month of the season, and that coach is...
Yeah. Usually he uses September champs as a bad thing, you know, as a negative here, but it seems like now he's kind of using it as more of a positive. I mean, listen, I don't think it's the worst list by you know, the worst tiers by any stretch of the imagination. Also, the fact that he actually has the Chiefs below. You know, he doesn't have them at the top or second from the top, which I think is, you know, we're getting more of a realistic scenario here. I think the Broncos are, you know, having the Broncos below the Cardinals and the Bengals and the Steelers and the Cowboys and the Raiders. I mean, like, just how does that make sense? How does that make any sense? It doesn't. It really doesn't. It's funny to see him elevate a team like the Seattle Seahawks, now because he just kept saying Sam Darnold's bad, Sam Darnold's bad, Sam Darnold's bad. And it was like, when you actually watch him play, like, he's actually not. He's actually not. And the problem with the Texans is, like, yeah, they've had close games, but they don't win them because they do not know how to play and execute in these games. The fact that the score is just close is just by virtue of it, like, well, yeah, it's an NFL game. Well, most games are close. But the Texans then just fail to actually execute and do what needs to be done when it needs to be done. That's why they keep losing in the ways that they keep losing. And that is what has always made the Chiefs so special, where it's just like, yeah, it's a football game, so of course it's going to be close. And guess what? We know how to get that third down when we need it most. We know how to force a long punt to give ourselves a good field position with 1 minute and 35 seconds left to go, right? Like, we actually know how to win these tough games. We know how to now set you up for a 4th and long, where you just got to throw it up and hope for the best. And our defense just absolutely gets after you. So not all close games are created equally by any stretch of the imagination. So my list is actually pretty tough here. Because there's just so many teams that I don't know what I'm seeing just quite yet. Like, I have my top, my top 15 teams in 3 tiers, I think it is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. No, I got 11 teams in 3 tiers. And so I got at the top Eagles, Bills, Ravens, Packers in the same tier right now. And then I got the Chargers, Rams, and this is going to annoy people, Chiefs, actually. And then I have the Lions, Bucks, Commanders, and Broncos. And then everyone else, I'm just like, I don't know what to see here. It's like, yeah, the Texans' defense is pretty good, but this offense just looks so incredibly disconnected. And even that defense, when they needed to make a stop the most, they could not. And I'm looking at the Seattle Seahawks, and I really liked what I've been seeing from them, but it's just like, I still need to see more. I definitely need to see more. And that Steelers game should have felt easier, honestly, from my viewpoint. There was a handful of miscues that just don't make me the most comfortable to continue to kind of elevate them. You guys know I'm super high on Michael Penix, and I like what that defense has been able to do as of late, but even offensively, I just don't think they're doing a good enough job of really getting Michael Penix situated. And they 1 minute they want to run the ball nonstop, the next minute they don't, and it's just like so many of these other teams that I just don't know what to do. It's like I question the coaching, or the roster itself. I'm just like I don't know. I don't know. I don't have the faith necessarily. I believe in the Raiders, but I'm just like, man, Geno Smith played really poorly against the Chargers. They were kind of in that game, but also like not really at all. And it was just in the first 2 games, it's just been such an aggressive offense, just constantly trying to push the ball down the field, tight window throw, and it's just like that, drive after drive after drive. And I'm just kind of like, why are you doing this right now? Like, it's unnecessary, and I'd like to see that change. And Pete Carroll himself has brought it up, where he's like, I don't know why we're not taking some of these throws underneath. And so that's what I'm waiting for. And until I see it, I'm just like, okay, I have to see it. The Dallas Cowboys, it's just like they are definitely a really fascinating and intriguing team. But I wonder. I wonder. They played the Eagles close. They had a crazy game with the Giants. I mean, I don't know who the Giants are right now. If the Giants pan out to be a pretty good team, then that win against then that win with the Cowboys definitely ages a lot better. But I just don't know. I really want to see what the Chiefs look like against the New York Giants more than anything right now. And the Steelers, it's like, I think Aaron Rodgers has actually been playing pretty well. I don't see that defense being as great and as suffocating as one would expect a Pittsburgh Steelers defense to be right now. And that offense is like, they're making Aaron Rodgers really push a boulder up a hill right now. There was many moments when you're just like, all right, Aaron is taking care of you right now, and you're literally dropping the ball. So it's just like, these are all things that you can chalk up to like, well, it's just the first couple of weeks of the season and all of that. And so that's why it's like, for any of these other teams where I'm just like, I don't know. I'm just like, want to wait and see more games right now. In order for me to have any sense of comfort surrounding them, it's like the Indianapolis Colts are balling right now, and I love to see it. Absolutely love to see it. Love to see Daniel Jones and Shane Steichen balling together, but it is just kind of one of those things where it's just like, all right, I'm curious. Like, can they continue this trend? I mean, I think it would be great for football. The Jacksonville Jaguars, like Liam Cohen is doing literally exactly what I said he was going to do with Trevor Lawrence. His short yardage throws and screen passes and behind the line of scrimmage and yak it's just all through the roof right now, way more than it has been in years past, and exactly what he did with Baker Mayfield. But then Trevor then is still weirdly being too aggressive at random moments and turning the ball over. And it's just like, just don't turn the ball over. Don't take that shot down the field when you don't need to, and you will more comfortably win these games. And so it's just like, will Trevor ever get the message? It's like, I don't know at this point. And yeah, the Minnesota Vikings are obviously injured right now. JJ McCarthy's not there. I'm excited to see Carson Wentz with Kevin O'Connell, but it might be a little too late for Carson Wentz to hop on that train right now. But we will definitely see. The 49ers are banged up. You got Mac Jones. I don't know when Brock Purdy is coming back. The Bengals, obviously, Joe Burrow's not there. So there's just like, there are a lot of teams that there's question marks around, and going into the season I kept thinking that the floor is going to be the highest that it's ever been, and it is interesting because a lot of these teams, they're losing, but they're still kind of like close games and they're still kind of in it, but you do still just see very much how some teams, whether they're great or not, or whether they have the roster or not, you just see the difference of preparation. You just see the difference in execution. You really do. It's just night and day that just some of these teams are just ready. They're just prepared. They're just ready. And it's one of those things where it becomes very clear to me. When you watch the Packers play right now, the Eagles, the Rams, the Chiefs, even though the Chiefs are obviously losing and they're 0-2, you can still just tell that they're ready for it, that they're prepared. They're not lost in the moment. I'm watching this game, and you can see that the Texans are genuinely lost on that game-winning drive by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. There's times with the Falcons in week 1, you're just like, what are these decisions that you're making right? Like, what is this right now? What on earth are you possibly doing right now? This is ridiculous to me. And so just a lot of these other teams that are obviously winning and succeeding, I just don't see that. And that's why some of these other teams that are not 100%, they're not all 2-0, like, of course, the Broncos and the Commanders. I'm like, yeah, but there definitely is, to a little bit larger of a degree, feeling like that they will get their legs under them. Although, again, a team like the Commanders, they're banged up. Their O-line is not what they thought it was going to be. Jane Daniels is now a little bit inhibited, so you're just like, kind of, who knows? And I believe that the Broncos now are playing the Chargers, and so the Broncos could be in a situation where they could be 1-2, and losing to the Chargers is like totally on the table right now. And it's like, you're not expecting to sweep the division. It's just unfortunate that they could now get dealt a loss in a way that now is like, oh man, we're losing games. And that's the problem when you drop a game to the Colts that you clearly should have won. You should be 2-0, and then if you do now lose to the Chargers or whatever it may be, it's just like, all right, we're 2-1. It's okay. We gotta get the Chargers next, on the back end here. But it just makes things a lot harder for them, and especially even just from a team perspective, from the guys in the locker room, just even feeling it. It hit a lot harder to lose a game to the Colts and then lose to the Chargers. I believe they're playing the Chargers. I could be completely wrong there. No, yeah, they're playing the Chargers. So yeah, I mean, I just feel as though right now the teams that I feel as though that I actually have a stronger sense of clarity, it really is the Eagles, the Bills, the Ravens, the Packers, the Chargers, the Rams, and again, honestly, the Chiefs. I that seems to be my most unpopular take, and it really is funny because, I mean, if I say, I don't think the Chiefs are that good, then just everyone yells at me and says, I'm a hater, I'm an enemy of the people. And if I now defend the Chiefs and say, yeah, I know they're 0-2, but I actually think that they're a lot better than that. And once they get healthy, people are like, you're such a fool. The Chiefs are terrible and this and that. It's just like you definitely can't win with the Chiefs, which is just pretty ironic, honestly. But I think the Chiefs are the hardest team because you have to look at the future the most with them. I'm a big firm believer in looking at the teams right now and trying to focus on how you're playing right now. But I just think when you're in this unique situation that is of the Chiefs dealing with suspensions and whatnot, it's just, they have to do that. I don't think it's as easily done with, say, let's just look at the Eagles for an example. As you guys know, I'm a believer in the Eagles. I can't just automatically say, well, I think the Eagles offense is going to get better over these next few weeks, because I have no idea. I have no idea if Kevin Patullo and that offensive coordinator is going to be able to do that. There's no evidence for that for me. So me reaching that conclusion or making that statement would be just complete me just making stuff up. And if I'm ever looking into the future, I want it to be more because of what observations that I can see right now that I can conclude that I think will then make an accurate prediction into the future. And I'm way more comfortable saying that a team like the Kansas City Chiefs are going to be a better team when Rashee Rice and Xavier Worthy are there, because I actually have evidence and an understanding of why that will be. I have no idea what Kevin Patullo will be able to do with this Eagles offense moving forward. None. So it just is what it is. But we really do have a basket of teams. Like, I'm watching the Raiders play. I'm watching the Falcons, watching the Patriots, watching the Cowboys, watching the Steelers. And I'm watching these games, and I'm just like, what I kind of defer to is this. I've seen a lot of these games end up being close. The Chargers versus the Chiefs, the Eagles versus the Chiefs, the Rams games. It's just like I've seen these games, and I'm just like, do I think the Cowboys could win in that setting? Do I think the Falcons can win in that setting? Do I think the Patriots, the Steelers, the Cardinals, right? And I'm just like, I lean towards no, not every time, but I'm just like, I don't have that faith. I don't have that confidence. I'm not comfortable making that statement. Like I'm very comfortable saying, yeah, in a close game, 3 minutes to go, down by 3. Yeah, I like Matthew Stafford, Sean McVay, Puka Nacua, and Devontae. It's like, yeah, I like that. I like Justin Herbert with the ball. Baker Mayfield's obviously shown his ability to do that over these last 2 weeks, right? And it's like, what have I seen? The Falcons come up short. The Texans come up short. The Steelers have, a ridiculous box score that they should be winning and clearly leading, and yet somehow, weirdly enough, they're now losing. And you're just like, what? How is this even possible right now? Like, what are you even doing? So yeah, there's right now, week 2, I'm just seeing such incredibly high quality ball and some really messy football. And watching messy football, even from teams that I genuinely believe in, or I believe in the players or even the coaching staff, it's just, for me right now, I struggle to figure out why is this like a team like the Broncos. I believe in Sean Payton. And if I was even being more conservative, I could even lower them. But I'm just kind of like, I believe Sean Payton and the Denver Broncos will get this going. And I certainly don't have them now as a bottom, what is that? Like a bottom 8 team or so, or, quick math, whatever the heck it is. But at the same time, I do look at a loss like that and I'm like, that was an indefensible loss. That loss should have never happened. And so for me, it's like, I need to see what they look like over these next couple of weeks. So I don't know. I think tiers are really hard and a mess after only 2 weeks of football, because it's just hard, man. It's just hard. The Bills played the Ravens, great game, and then they played the Jets. But what do you do with that? The Ravens played the Bills, then they played the Browns. It's like, all right, just they each played awful teams right now, awful teams. So it's just like, what do you do with that? I don't know. The Chiefs were clearly not 100% and are not playing at their best. And yet the game with the Eagles and the Chiefs was closer than you would expect a team to be as great as, say, the Philadelphia Eagles. And again, sometimes you just chalk it up and say it's the NFL. You're no matter what, no matter how injured, no matter who you are, if you're a good enough team, if you're well enough coached, if you have a good enough quarterback, like, these games will find themselves to be close, right? But this is not college football where you're going to see scores 60-3 or something. Like, it's just not what it is. But I think it's important to try to figure out, though, why some of these scores are close. And if you do just come up just short, it's, well, why? You know, like what, how did you get here? Why was the game close? And then why did you not come away with the win? And why did the other team, why was it close? And why did they come away with the win? And to me, it's just never enough to say, oh, it was a close game. They only lost by 3. And hey, they lost 2 games and both games were by a total of 4 points. And it's just like, okay, that on one side, you can make the argument that means they're right there. Or you could be like, yeah, that's fine. But they can't convert when they need to most, or they can't get a stop when they need to most. Like, and in football, like that is when it becomes kind of binary. And I always push back on people that just say, oh, it doesn't matter, you are what your record is. But in that zoomed in moment, it's like, okay, it was close, but you lost. You know, and it's just like you weren't able to execute, right? Now, if it's a close game, but you're playing great, and it's a close game, then you could be like, they were right there. They were converting 3rd downs all game. And then, you know, that the ball just got away from so-and-so and he let it sail, and that set up a long 4th down. And, you know, it's just an unfortunate situation that it happened that way. It's like, you can come up with that explanation, but, you know, that's not always the explanation. So it's why it's really important, I think, to just, you know, really be comfortable zooming in and zooming out, zooming in and zooming out, and not try to have this, you know, copy paste formula that you try to apply to every single game, no matter what, because it's just not always the case. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about Knicks tiers headed into week 3? How are you feeling about these teams? Where do you think they stand? The top, the bottom, the middle? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment. So whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions, let's get in some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all generally feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.